Hi, welcome. My name is Michael Forrester, and I'm one of the primary guides and facilitators for the Booz Allen Hamilton Summer Certification Program. I want to welcome you because if you're watching this video, you have been onboarded into the program and you're either doing an 8-week associate's level certification for AWS, or you're doing a 12-week program where you're doing a professional or specialty level certification with AWS. So welcome, because this is a summer certification program, and it's a little bit of a certification accelerator. And so this video is intended to explain a little bit of the details of the program, the two core documents, which is the onboarding document, as well as the certification study guide that form the core of what you're going to be using to study and prepare to pass the exam at the end of your 8 or 12-week journey. So that's what this program is actually all about, is that this program is focused on giving you the expertise and the experience necessary to pass your particular targeted certification. But we're not just going to let you go it alone, because not only are you going to be registered for a class, not only will you get a certification study guide, but you're also going to be meeting with an Amazon authorized instructor who also has a certification in question and can help answer questions and facilitate learning through Jeopardy games or flashcards, or even just answering your questions or just showing you how things function. So this document, the one that's actually on the screen right now, is one of the two core documents that we're actually going to use and that you're going to use to actually walk through your program. This particular one is actually for developer associates. And so this is actually structured for 8 weeks, but just note that the only difference between the 8-week program and the 12-week program is a little bit more study and one extra week of exam practice, just because of the scope of the material and the professional and specialty exams. So the structure of this program can be visualized in two different ways. And so I'm going to switch over to the certification document so you can actually see this visualized, is that there is an assessment phase, which is actually can be done at any time before you actually start studying. There's a study phase, which actually includes all these in green, including a class block, where you're actually going to go to class for your relevant certification. So in this particular case, since it's developer associates, the class is actually developing on AWS, which is the associates level class that is typically recommended that you take if you're going to go after the AWS developing, developer certification associates. Notice that this first red block is the assessment block. The second kind of, 6, if you will, are actually study blocks with a class thrown in. And notice that this particular class is actually meeting at 9 o'clock on Fridays, and there is actually a skip at the end of the block where they're actually not meeting for basically a community meeting. Now, these blocks, block 2, block 3, block 4, block 5, actually have study asks or study objects that it's asked that you actually study, read, do, and practice as part of your certification. Where are those located at? Well, if we actually go to the second tab, which is a developer associate study track, particularly focused on .NET, you'll notice that you'll see those same blocks listed here. So here's block 1, the assessment block. Here's the class block. And then notice that we're on block 2 in yellow, and it even has dates associated with it for this particular group or cohort. Notice that there's 2 white papers and a web page listed as being the things that you want to study for this particular week. And there's also an instructor-led community meeting that's listed there as well, right? In addition, you see that block 3 is listed here. It has 4 study objects, and there's another 5 study objects in the next block. And then notice it switches from study phase, basically in the middle of week 5, into what's called exam practice phase. And the exam practice phase is actually phase 3, right? Because phase 2 is the study phase. Phase 3 is our exam practice phase and includes exam practice self-study, as well as a continuing certification meeting. So here, what will happen is that you're actually going to take a web-based set of practice exams in partnership with our partner Tutorials Dojo that are really great for learning the rights and wrongs of the knowledge that you already studied in the study phase. And it's able to reinforce, challenge, and cement and strengthen your ability to actually take the actual exam after you've done all the work to get it functioning. So here you've got block 5, block 6, block 7 are all exam practice phases, where you're actually studying and preparing for the exam and finding your gaps in your learning. Now, phase 4, after you've finished phase 3, is the exam, what we call the exam passing phase. And so this is actually block 8. And what will happen is that about a month prior at the beginning of phase 3, you will have scheduled your exam. And so what will happen in the exam phase is that you're actually going to have the exam session and then one kind of closing community meeting so you can meet, answer any questions that you had. Oh, what was that on the exam? Or I don't remember this, or how did you do, or et cetera. And if you need any continuing support, that's phase 4 for this particular program. Now, note, if we were to look at it in its entirety, that this starts June 28th with the developing on AWS class for this particular cohort, and then continues on every week into different study blocks until it transitions into exam practice blocks, and then it ends about 8 weeks later with the exam being taken. And so note that this document is actually provided to you in a portal that's customized for your particular group. So every group that actually takes will actually have access to a Basecamp portal that looks almost exactly like this. And so your group, whether it's comprised of 5 or 20 people, will have access to their own message board, their own chat section, and there'll be a full schedule of not only the meetings, but who you're meeting with. And then you'll have access to these 2 documents, the welcome letter that I'm actually just reviewing for you, as well as the certification study guide, which contains the actual study tracks and the links that you're going to use to actually study week by week. Now, some questions usually pop up like, okay, that's awesome. How do I get onboarded? Well, the minute you sign up for the program, usually within about 1 to 3 business days, you'll usually get an email that says, hi, welcome. Here's the link to this video, which if you're already watching, you're already there. Here are the links to your portal, and here's how you get logged in. And in that portal, it should contain your schedule, which you just actually saw under the schedule section, as well as your certification study guide, and as a written form of this welcome letter, which is actually being verbalized in this video. Other questions that sometimes come up is that, what if I need support? What if I need help in some form or fashion? Well, you can always refer to the welcome letter that's inside of your docs and file section of your Booz Allen Hamilton, your portal. But you can also get specific answers if you're looking for Booz Allen Hamilton related questions like time tracking or reimbursement. You can just go to getcertified@bah.com and get access, because they'll respond to your email. If you have any technical issues with Basecamp or with any kind of other kind of infrastructure facet for your certification program, you can email support@webhsolutions.com. And you will actually have the contact information for an individual instructor who's going to be guiding you through the duration of your 8 to 12 week program. Now, for whatever reason you have some difficulty or just want to talk more meta about the program, you can contact me directly at michael.forster@webhsolutions.com, or there's a fabulous account executive for the Booz Allen Hamilton account called Greg Wagner, who is more than willing to respond and assist if you need to escalate or just want to engage in some form or fashion above the instructor. Now, how long is the program? Well, to reinforce this, it's either 8 or 12 weeks. But one thing to note is that it's an 8 or 12 week program with either 5 to 7 hours a week of study for the associate's level, or probably about 8 plus or minus 2 hours a week of study for the professional and specialty certifications. So you're looking at about 5, 6 hours a week, 5 to 7 hours a week for the associate's level, and you're really looking at about 8 hours a week, for the professional and specialty level certifications. So, think about that. You got to make that commitment because it's going to be 8 weeks of you having to study, and then 12 weeks if you're going to do the professional and specialty level certifications. So what are you going to do during the program? Well, there's white papers, there's digital trainings, there's hands-on labs, there's workshops. So you're going to get access to a bunch of material. Some of it's going to be lectures, some of it's going to be hands-on. And if you need more hands-on material, you just let us know. Most likely we have a lab or some other variation that we can do to show you how to get more hands-on expertise. But the bulk of this is actually going to be focused on, do you understand the concepts? Do you know how to set these up? Do you know how does these services function and work? Now, note that when you have this kind of certification study guide, it does list every single study object. Those type links are active. And in addition, we give you an estimated study time so you know about how many minutes you're going to spend that week studying. So in this case, there's 310 minutes on the lower right-hand side. So this week for week 4, you're actually going to spend about 5 hours and 10 minutes studying for the week. Let's see, how are you going to track your progress in the course? So at the very beginning of the course, in the pre-assessment phase, you actually take a simulated practice exam with Tutorials Dojo that will provide you access and the links for. When you log in and take the test, it'll take you about 2 hours, maybe 3 if you're doing the professional specialty certification. And what it will do is it will give you a number. It'll say, hey, you've got a 95, you're ready to pass. Or it'll say, maybe like it did for me, it'll say 66%. And you're like, I got a little bit more study before I can actually pass this. So you'll have that beginning number. And then at any point in time, as you gain confidence, you can go back and take that certification. And if you get somewhere between 90 and 95%, we usually recommend 95, but however that works. If you get between 90 and 95%, then you're probably ready to take the exam. The probability of you passing at that point is very high, especially if you've done the work and you've taken the other practice exams and you're feeling comfortable. So this is an accelerated program because it will require about 5 to 7 hours a week, or about 8 plus or minus 2 hours a week if you're doing the professional certification. But that's how you track your progress, is you'll have a number at the beginning. At any point in time, you'll get that number again. And as you take the practice exams, you can actually see that number. And as it approaches 90, 95%, you'll be ready to take the exam. Good. Well, my name is Michael Forrester, and I'm sure there's other questions to ask. If you have them, please send them my way. But just note that this is going to be a fabulous program. It is going to be somewhat intense. It will require some commitment, but you are a seasoned professional in AWS from what I hear, and so you're going to have a fabulous time. If anything comes up, email me. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next class. Have a good one.